Have you ever wondered why some people reach 80 with a sharp mind, remembering everything, while others start forgetting names, losing keys, and waking up exhausted at 60? There's something simple, present in our grandparents' diet, that has been silently disappearing from our plates over the past few decades. Something doctors almost never test for, but that scientists now point to as the true guardian of memory and deep sleep. A forgotten mineral that 75% of people over 60 don't realise they're losing. And that could be the difference between aging with clarity or living in a constant fog. A staggering 75% of adults over 60 miss the hidden culprit behind memory slips and restless nights: magnesium deficiency. Most people never suspect this forgotten mineral is draining their brain power and accelerating decline. If routine blood tests cannot spot it, how many other signs go unnoticed? And what simple step could change things? The true impact may begin with a single missed key, and what happens next will challenge everything you thought you knew about aging. Nearly 3 out of every 4 adults over 60 carry a hidden deficit that standard medical checkups almost never catch. Magnesium deficiency, widespread yet invisible, slips through the cracks of routine blood work. That is because only about 1% of the body's magnesium floats in the bloodstream. The rest is locked away in bones, muscles, and tissues. Even when a senior's blood test comes back normal, their cells may be running on empty. This silent shortfall is not just a matter of personal health habits. The roots stretch deep into the ground, literally. Over the past 50 years, the magnesium content in vegetables like spinach and Swiss chard has dropped by as much as 30%. Modern farming practices focused on yield, not nutrition, have stripped the soil of minerals, leaving today's produce with a fraction of the magnesium it once offered. A serving of spinach in the 1970s delivered up to 30% more magnesium than the same plate today. Pumpkin seeds and whole grains have followed a similar downward trend. With so much magnesium hidden out of reach and with conventional tests unable to reveal the real status, millions are left with a false sense of security. Doctors may reassure patients based on numbers that do not tell the whole story. In older adults, common symptoms such as memory lapses, fatigue, and restless sleep are often brushed aside as normal aging. But the real cause is buried deeper, both in the body and in the food chain. The result is a generation at risk, exposed to a deficiency that quietly chips away at brain health, unnoticed until the damage becomes hard to reverse. Arthur was 72 when the world he'd built, decades of teaching and a home lined with books, began to slip through his fingers. It started with names, then misplaced keys, then entire conversations lost in the fog. Nights brought little rest. He would lie awake for hours, his mind racing, frustration mounting with every glance at the clock. His wife noticed the change first, the way he repeated questions, and the sharp edge of anxiety that had not been there before. Arthur's own father had faded into dementia, and that fear pressed in on him, heavy and constant. He turned to his doctor, desperate for relief. The prescription was a common one for seniors, sleeping pills meant to quiet the mind. Instead, Arthur found himself drifting through each day in a haze. The pills dulled his nights, they also dulled his memory. Words vanished mid-sentence. He struggled to follow the plot of a simple novel, let alone the history texts he once loved. The sense of losing control was worse than any sleepless night. Each morning he woke more confused, more withdrawn, convinced he was following his father's path. Arthur's experience is not rare. Sleep aids, especially benzodiazepines and Z-drugs, are prescribed to millions of older adults. In people over 65, these drugs can double the risk of memory problems, and they can increase the chance of developing dementia by up to 50%. For Arthur, the solution had become another trap. The real cause of his decline remained hidden, masked by symptoms that looked like ordinary aging but were, in fact, a warning from deep inside his cells. Inside the human brain, billions of neurons fire and connect in patterns that shape every memory, thought, and word. This constant rewiring, what scientists call neuroplasticity, depends on a delicate balance of chemistry and energy. Magnesium sits at the heart of this balance, acting like an ignition key in the brain's engine. Without enough magnesium, the system falters. At the junctions where neurons meet, magnesium controls the NMDA receptor, a molecular gate that decides which signals pass and which are blocked. When magnesium is present, the gate opens only for meaningful messages, allowing learning and memory to take hold. But when magnesium levels fall, the gate sticks open, and neurons become overwhelmed by a flood of signals. This overload, known as excitotoxicity, can burn out brain cells, shrinking the very networks that support memory and attention. Large population studies have traced this connection. In a cohort of 768 older adults, those with the lowest magnesium depletion scores performed worst on tests of processing speed and executive function. The risk of cognitive impairment dropped sharply in people whose daily magnesium intake met or exceeded recommended levels, over 400 mg for men and 320 mg for women. Researchers have also linked both unusually low and unusually high blood magnesium to a 30 to 32% higher risk of dementia, with the safest zone sitting right in the middle. Magnesium's protective role extends to the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, shielding it from stress hormones and supporting the growth of new neural pathways. Without this mineral, the brain's wiring frays and the ability to adapt, learn and remember begins to slip away. The science is clear: magnesium is not just another nutrient. It is the quiet gatekeeper of brain resilience. Sleep is more than rest. It is the brain's nightly deep clean. During the deepest stages of sleep, a network of channels opens up, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to flush out waste products that build up during the day. Scientists call this the glymphatic system, and it works best when the brain is in slow-wave sleep, the kind that leaves you feeling truly restored. But this process relies on a delicate chemistry, and magnesium is a key ingredient. Without enough magnesium, the brain struggles to reach and maintain those restorative sleep stages. The result is a slowdown in the brain's natural cleaning crew, leaving behind traces of proteins like amyloid and tau, molecules linked to memory loss and cognitive decline. Arthur's restless nights were not just a nuisance. Each hour spent tossing and turning meant another missed opportunity for his brain to clear out these toxins. Over weeks and months, the effects added up: foggy mornings, trouble recalling words, and a growing sense of anxiety. Studies in older adults confirm that magnesium deficiency disrupts sleep architecture, leading to lighter, more fragmented rest. This is not just about feeling tired. When deep sleep is compromised, the glymphatic system cannot do its job, and the risk of memory lapses rises sharply. For Arthur, the connection between his insomnia and slipping memory was not obvious at first, but the science is clear. Magnesium is fundamental to the nightly reset that protects the aging brain. As his story shows, the path to sharper thinking often starts with a single night of better sleep, a process that depends on a mineral most seniors never realize they are missing. Adding magnesium-rich foods to a daily routine starts with simple choices. A single handful of pumpkin seeds, about 28 grams, covers nearly 40% of an adult's recommended intake. Cooked dark leafy greens like spinach or Swiss chard deliver another solid portion. And cooking them actually boosts absorption by breaking down compounds that block minerals. For many, a square or two of dark chocolate with at least 70% cocoa offers both satisfaction and a mineral boost. It helps to spread these foods out during the day and to avoid pairing them with high doses of calcium or sugary snacks, which can block magnesium uptake. Drinking enough water is also essential, since hydration helps transport minerals where they are needed most. With steady daily habits, it usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks for the body's magnesium stores to rebuild and for changes to become noticeable. 6 weeks after making those changes, Arthur noticed something he had not felt in years: a clear mind greeting him each morning. Sleep returned, deep and unbroken. The fog that once clouded his days began to lift, replaced by a sense of calm and focus he had almost forgotten. Soon he found himself drawn back to the thick history books that once filled his evenings, pages that had seemed impossible to follow just months before. Conversations grew easier, confidence returned, not just in memory but in daily life. For Arthur, the fear of decline gave way to a quiet certainty. Renewal was possible, even after years of struggle. Right now, 1 in 2 seniors faces hidden risks from something as simple as depleted soil and overlooked nutrition. As lifespans grow, the daily choices we make, including what we eat and what we ignore, shape our futures. Sometimes the smallest element changes everything. Take care of your mind starting today.